Good evening, dear subscribers. Your Surge is here, and I have another quick video for you. It's about phonetics as usual because this is my hobby horse, one of my favorite topics. And today I also want to talk about contrasting vowel sounds in the American English, and namely the sounds as in word good and as in word food. I like to talk about my personal experience in communication with native speakers, and this experience it really took place when I started to work with an American person in 2012. I experienced a lot of new discoveries in the field of phonetics, and especially in vowel sounds, because I realized how diverse on the one hand, and on the other hand, how simple the system is. So there is a certain set of vowel sounds, and they're pronounced in a certain way. And once you learn how to pronounce them, you don't have to second guess any word. You just see, you look up the dictionary and you hear how it's pronounced. You look at the transcription and you can understand that. But for these sounds, for and there is a little trick because there are words that many native speakers disagree on, and I mean not native speakers like Americans and British people, or Americans and Australians, or Americans and Canadians, but even people from the different parts of the United States disagree on pronouncing certain words. When I worked with that American guy, he was from Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, so a guy from Midwest, and he pronounced words roof and root exactly with this vowel sound So roof, whatever covers the building, and root, it's the part of a plant that's below the ground. So he would say those words like roof and root. But then I started watching TV shows and other authentic materials from the internet, and I heard a lot of people say roof and root. And it really struck me that even within the United States, there is such a great difference. Even though that American claim that major call centers in the United States are situated in the Midwest because Midwestern accent is supposed to be very close to general American or standard American, like it's the real accent that people try to stick to. That so, but this was the striking difference because mainly what I heard on television and on the internet was the ooh sound. And in this instance, I would like to read to you what I found on the internet, on certain websites, on forums, what people from the United States and Canada say. Like there is one person from Imperial Beach, California, says, I was born and raised in the West, Western Washington state to be exact. I say root as if it rhymed with foot and pronounce the vowels in roof the same way. When I received a short training as an ESL teacher in Chile in the late 1960s, and I and a couple of other from western part of the US were appointed out to the class, which included mostly Chileans who were studying to be teachers of English, as examples of Western US pronunciation. The teacher also said we had only 12 instead of the normal 13 American vowel sounds, pronouncing cod and cod the same. Okay, so another person who lived in California says, I was raised in a typically nomadic military family, so I'm not certain where I picked it up. I did live in California for a while, but that was the only Western state I lived in. But I also used to pronounce root and roof in the same way. However, after a few kids in the Midwest poked a little fun at those pronunciations, I changed the way I pronounced the words. We all wanted to fit in as kids after all. I still occasionally pronounce the plural roots in the Western way, rhymes with puts, but I never pronounce the singular that way. That is, I always pronounce root to rhyme with boot. See, that's even an interesting thing. There is a person that lived in California that distinguishes the singular and the plural form. The singular form he pronounces with a longer oo sound, and the plural for the plural form he uses the shorter sound. So that is interesting. On another website, I found such a thing that says Canadians sometimes say that a difference between Canadian English and American English is that Canadians pronounce roof as roof and Americans say roof. I'm an American and I say roof, and I think that pronunciation actually that pronunciation actually is more common in America than roof. Those Canadians are just wrong. Actually, that's true. I heard a lot of Canadians, well, all the Canadians that I've ever listened to would say roof, and most of the Americans would say roof. But that particular person that I happened to have worked with from Nebraska said roof, and other people that I met in the Midwest. Maybe that's just a thing in the Midwest and the western part of the United States. That's why they call this type of pronunciation Western pronunciation. So this was Serge talking to you about American phonetics. This topic is really interesting for me, and I'm sure it's interesting for a lot of people. And this is really, there's a lot to talk about it. Uh, I'm going to talk about it a lot more because there are so many things in American phonetics, different mergers, different pronunciations of same words in different states, and there are maps to look at when you study the phonetics of American English. So there's a lot of stuff coming up, and I want you all to stay tuned and subscribe to my VK group and YouTube channel. And I would love some feedback about this video and what else you would like to hear about phonetics of American English. This was your Serge. Thank you for your attention. Have a really good evening. Goodbye.